8:48 on the Rock, 100.3 WKIT.
We're welcoming Maine author Bill Garenser, and I think that's absolutely appropriate. Your brand new book, Working Waterfront, A Fish Tale, is available now. You can find it at local booksellers, literally from Maine to Rhode Island. And if I'm not mistaken, Bill, that's pretty much your stomping ground over the course of your 40-plus years in the fishing industry. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, it's actually available from Maine to Point Pleasant, New Jersey.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my word.
I've been visiting booksellers and libraries from Bar Harbor all the way down to Cape May, actually. And if you want to remain hopeful, stop into a bookseller, drop by a library.
Yeah, lots of community activity going on there at places just like that. And what led you to write this book? I mean, as I mentioned, 40-plus years in the fishing industry, and over the course of that time, you've worn gosh darn near every hat there is.
I wrote this book because I had to. I thought about writing a book over the years, but nothing ever came to me. But as I got close to retirement and knew exactly what to write about, and so I sat down, and the process was interesting, but I had a book in me. It had to come out.
I find myself thinking about fishermen every time there's a little fog on my way into the radio station in the morning, and that certainly happened today. Well timed, given your visit. What about the water captured you at such a young age, and if you'll pardon the expression, sunk its hooks into you?
I was hooked. There's something about salt water. And at a very young age, I learned how to swim in the ocean, not in a pool like many people. So I didn't have chlorine, I had salt. And I just loved the feel of it, the smell of it. I loved being around it. I got pushed away from it for a few years, but then I went lobstering just as a lark and was so enthralled with it. The fishermen invited me to work as a sternman for the summer. So I graduated in 1980 with a degree in biochemistry from Michigan State University. Went lobstering just for the summer, and I never looked back.
Yeah, I mean, and that's got to be pretty amazing to get that firsthand experience. And like you say, you're thinking, okay, I'm taking on a little summer gig here. We'll see what this is about, and then finding, a real passion for the work and for the people.
Yeah, it's a great community. There's a culture, and culture is everything. I read a quote the other day that says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." And there's a culture of hard work. There's a culture of, standing by the person next to you, holding each other accountable, but also having each other's back. And once I got into that culture, there was no leaving it.
Speaking with Bill Garenser, whose brand new book, Working Waterfront, is out now. Paul's got a copy of it in his hands right now. We hear from fishermen all the time who are going out on the water, and when you hear from them, sometimes you're thinking, wait, you're going out there today? It's miserable out there today. This remains a very dangerous profession, despite technological advances that have been enjoyed over the course of time.
It sure is. It sure is. We always hear about, far too often about people who lose their lives or get hurt on the water. And working on the water is a thing. And it's, unless you do it, you don't get that. But people that work on the water have certain skills that translate to any other job on the water, and being sort of living the salty life is really rewarding. But you're right, you have to be able to trust the people next to you, because you're putting your life on the line often. Even when it feels like a nice, comfortable day, things can go wrong, and occasionally they do. And so you're depending upon the boat you're on and the people standing next to you.
Bill, you did that summer lobstering, and that's what really got you going. But when you consider the time that you've spent, pulling the bounty of the sea out of the water, you've done it in just about every form, from standing on the shore with a rod and a reel to lobstering, to being out on trawlers for days at a time. What is that like, being offshore, and that, hey, look, we aren't coming back for a while?
Well, when you're fishing offshore, you don't feel like you're gone for days. You feel like you're gone from one really long day. And the reason I say that is because there's no 5 o'clock or it's quitting time. There's no, okay, it's 8 o'clock, it's time to watch TV and go to bed. you're working around the clock, and you're working on the rhythms of the boat. So they could be 3 hours of trawling, punctuated by handling the gear. So you live in cat naps. You get an hour here, an hour there. You eat when you can, but that day starts when you throw the lines off, and it ends when you tie up, which could be 6 normal days later, but it feels like one really long day where the sun rises and sets many times.
We're speaking with Bill Garenzer, whose new book, Working Waterfront, is available now. When we talk about fishing, that's been a big part of your career. But you've also worked in fish auctions, fish selling. You've been the man responsible for buying and selling fish for organizations and for restaurants. What's that side of the business like?
Well, it's you're still on the waterfront, but I came ashore when I got engaged because I just knew too many fishermen that were gone all the time, and they had different kinds of experiences about what it's like to be married and never around. Some of them were good, some of them weren't so good. So I came ashore and I got a job working for a fish company called Foley Fish out of Boston, and I worked for them for a few decades, and bought fish at the Portland Fish Auction, and that culture was the same. It was all about excellence. It was all about, we were into quality at sea, and quality on the dock. So we only bought certain kinds of fish, quality wise, and we handled that with kid gloves. And I never was taught by the owner of the company much about quality. I was taught by the person standing next to me. Either side of you, holding you accountable, then you learn how to hold other people accountable. And it's that same culture. It's a culture thing.
There's not enough time to talk about everything we need to touch upon in this book, but you mentioned earlier in off-microphone conversation the notion of fishery management. And we've seen tremendous change in the fishing industry just over the last decade, particularly as it relates to the warming of the waters and that's the impact of that on fisheries management. What are fishermen facing today? What is the greatest challenge for these people that you worked hand in hand with?
The greatest challenge comes down to accurately assessing fish stocks, and we're not doing that right now. Our uncertainty levels are in the 40% range, and if you think about that, you turn on the TV, somebody reports about an ongoing electoral race, and candidate X leads candidate Y 44 to 40%, plus or minus 40%. That's
the margin of error seems a little significant there.
Yeah, I would use the term statistically useless, but yet we craft fisheries regulations based on this kind of information. And it isn't because the United States wasn't good at it. We were actually very accurate for years, but once we started putting in a lot of changes of restrictions, the models, the theoretical models for statistics they use went haywire. And there's a way out of this. Right now, there's some people experimenting with nets that won't catch fish. Now, fishermen might argue that the NIMS survey vessels already don't do that, but these are ones that intentionally don't catch fish. They tow it with an open cod end. They array lights and cameras in the net, and the net can be towed for 20, 30 hours straight. They're going along bottom, and the cameras are recording the fish that pass through the net. And it's not just a video, it's a digital data stream, because these are digital cameras. You can use AI to analyze and sort of watch the video, identify everything that passes through, and then it's also time-stamped and geolocated. So you create this database that becomes a statistician's dream. There's pushback to that because the scientists in Woods Hole are saying, well, this or that, may not be as visible, this or that might not be wrong. But let's face it, when scientists are saying we can't do something, they're not being scientists. They're being narrow-minded, know-it-all idiots, and we have enough of those in politics right now. So I think the way forward, and we'll get there, is to get this new kind of way of assessing fish stocks and get down to plus or minus 2%, and then we can manage the fish. Because right now there's an awful lot of fish out there. The aggregate biomass in the Gulf of Maine and Georges Bank has regrown. The species mix is different because of the changes in the climate, but there's a lot of fish out there. The fishermen are just precluded from catching them because of the way that stock assessment is limiting. The stock assessment inaccuracy is limiting them.
Bill Garenzer is the author of Working Waterfront, a fishtail, and this is a lot more than just some technical treatise on the process of fishing. This is a story about a life on the water and the people that you have come into contact with and that you remain in contact with to this day. It's a great read, Bill. I would urge people to check it out. And it's available, as you said, from independent retailers and also online from here to New Jersey and well beyond. If somebody wants to check it out, what's the best way for them to get their hands on a copy?
Well, Sherman's Gulf of Maine Books along the coast of Maine is carrying it. I've got several other booksellers, Blue Hill Books, Gulf of Maine Books, and Longfellow in Portland, Owl and Turtle in Camden, and Arctic Tern in Rockland. You can get them, at the big online sellers, Walmart, Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Nice.
So there's plenty of places to get it. I've been supporting the local booksellers, but you can pretty much get it anywhere.
We appreciate you taking the time today, Bill. I'd urge people to seek out a great segment on News Center Maine's 207 program. Terrific interview that you did with Pat Caldwell. Just great stuff. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you, Bill. We appreciate you making the time and coming in here this morning.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.